Hello, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Razovy, and today we're going to talk about the 10 most interesting isekai anime. I'm not talking about the best here, that's up to you. I cannot decide that for you, but these are the ones that I consider to be the most interesting. Now let's start off with Drifters. I absolutely love this manga. I watched the anime as well. The art style is actually something that a lot of people seem to get, they kind of have to get used to it. I don't really understand why. I really like the art style. It's not your common anime art style. That's fair, but I thought it was pretty cool. Basically, we follow around this group of popular figures from Japanese history, not just of Japanese history. For example, we'll also get to see John d'Arc and all that kind of stuff. But basically, what's happening is that all of these popular figures from, in this case, Japanese history, are taken into this new world, this isekai, right? And there they meet other historical figures from our time, and they basically battle it out in this fantasy style. And I absolutely love this. It's so freaking good. The anime, unfortunately, doesn't cover that much. So if you're going to watch this anime, then do me a favor and definitely also 100% read the manga. Now, as far as I know, unless I'm completely wrong, the manga is still ongoing. Yes, it's still releasing. So there's plenty of chapters for you to read. In this case, 83, which is quite a lot in my opinion. And it's still releasing, so that's awesome. And yeah, frankly, you're doing yourself a disservice when it comes to isekai if you have not yet read or watched this awesome anime/manga. Now, the second one is Gate. This is, in my opinion, this is a hidden gem. It really is, especially for like the newer anime watchers. So maybe like the younger ones under us, right? Maybe you're, I don't know, maybe you're 13, 14 watching this video. I don't know. Most likely you have not watched this anime, and that's a shame because this one is cool in my opinion. Basically, we follow. Let's see if I can find him real quick. This guy, can I find him? Probably. Let me see. Yeah, this guy. We're following this guy, and he basically at some point, not necessarily he is transported into another world, but basically these gates open up inside Japan. That's also why it's called Gate. Wow, mind blown. And basically, these gates, if you go through them, you are taken into another world, right? Isekai. Now, basically, the Japanese army, even though Japan doesn't really have an army, it's called the Japanese Self-Defense Force. I'm not going to get in why that is. I wouldn't mind giving you a history lesson on this, but let's not do that now. Basically, the Japanese Self-Defense Force goes into these gates, and eventually our main protagonist meets up with multiple figures, in this case with her and multiple female leads basically, and together they are now trying to help out the folks in this fantasy world, but they're not necessarily always helping them out because the Japanese Self-Defense Force actually conquers parts of this new world, and then they also have to basically make sure that America doesn't get involved and all that kind of stuff. It's very fun, and it's actually there's tons of drama in this and funny moments, and also it's quite an adult anime as well. This is not your typical high school setting nonsense. This is quite an adult show that actually portrays quite some adult themes as well, which in my opinion is pretty cool if I do say so myself. Then we have one that I would not expect a lot of folks who make an isekai video. I don't expect them to mention this one, but I just wanted to mention this one because officially speaking, this is an isekai. It's called Kobayashi-san Chi no Maid Dragon, and I believe in English it's called Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid. That would kind of be the exact translation. Is that true, or am I talking out of my behind? No, it's true. Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid. Basically, we follow this person called Kobayashi, and at some point she meets a dragon in the woods. She's drunk, she stumbles through the woods and the mountains, and then she meets a dragon. Now, this dragon at that point in time doesn't look like her. It looks like an actual dragon, but eventually this dragon is able to turn into Toru, a maid, or as someone who looks like a maid, I guess. And they start living together. Now, at first, we only explore basically Kobayashi's daily life. So, to be fair, at first it might not sound like an isekai, but eventually, especially if you read the manga as well, which I highly recommend you that you do, we are also taken into Toru's world. And that's when it becomes an isekai, because there's political intrigue in this manga, and if also eventually in the anime, but it takes a while. So there's tons of cool stuff within Kobayashi's Dragon Maid that is definitely an isekai and definitely makes this a very interesting story. Now, to be fair, this is mainly centered around comedy, but sometimes this anime can hit you hard when it comes to the drama part of it. Really, you would not expect that when looking at this, but for real, it happens. But this mainly happens in season 2, and yes, there is a season 2, which I would also highly advise you to watch. But yeah, it's very cool. It's in fact, I dare to say that this is one of my favorite anime of all time, and also one of my favorite manga of all time. So I hope that says something about how good this is. Then we go to Shincho Yusha. Now, this is not the best I've ever seen, and I don't think anyone would. I think most people would agree with me if I would say that this is like not the best ever or something. But this is incredibly funny, though. I absolutely enjoyed this anime, and I didn't add it to my list. That's weird. Anyway, I absolutely enjoyed this anime, and I 100% enjoyed the manga as well. Officially speaking, it's based on a light novel. I don't read light novels. I'm not planning on reading them anytime soon. But the manga and the anime are absolutely cool. Basically, what is happening in this show is that we follow a guy who is transported into another world, and he is very how should I put it? He only cares about being well prepared. That is what he cares about. So no matter what happens, no matter what situation this guy is in, he wants to be prepared. But as you can imagine, this leads to very funny situations, because he, besides wanting to be well prepared, he's also incredibly stoic. He doesn't care about anything except about the task at hand and about himself. Meaning that the trope of having these cute girls around, right? That happens a lot in isekai, right? He doesn't care at all. Like, we have this goddess character who at first shows interest in him, but he doesn't care, and it creates these incredibly hilarious scenes, both in the manga and the anime. Would I say it's as good as something like Konosuba, right? When it comes to the comedy, no. Also, the comedy is different. But is it good? Yeah, it's very funny, very good. And, well, there's plenty to read and watch with this one as well. And if you are into light novels, well, then you got your light novel cut out of you, like your reading cut out for you, right? There's plenty to read in here. As far as I know, it's also being published in English, but don't pin me down on that. But I do believe there's an English version floating around somewhere on the internet. But is it worth it? Yes, it's incredibly funny. If you want to watch this for the cool fighting scenes and stuff, even it does even have that, but it's mainly the comedy that makes this so cool. All right, then we have Log Horizon. I have talked about this in a previous video of mine, so I won't talk about this too much. But basically, Log Horizon is about a group of people who are transported into a gaming world called Log Horizon. And we mainly follow Shiroe, who is like they call him the villain in glasses, because this guy is, well, he is very smart, and he's able to lead basically any group because he's so smart. And we just follow him around, and the setting is really cool because comparing this to, in this case, Sword Art Online. Sword Art Online has a very clear goal, right? Beat the game, and you get out, right? With Log Horizon, it's very, like, people don't know what's going on. So how do we get out? We don't know. Will we have to stay here forever? We don't know. What's the purpose of us constantly being revived while the NPCs, when they die for real, right? What's the purpose? I don't know. So there's a lot of things that we just don't know, and it makes Log Horizon, first and foremost, more interesting, and also more cryptic. So we don't know why it's happening. There's also way more focus on political stuff, on the meaning of life, which you would not expect from a show about being trapped in a game world. But it's I would call this the adult variant of Sword Art Online. I'm not sure if people will agree with me on that, but it is. I do feel like that would be an appropriate title for Log Horizon. Then we have Jai-sama wa Kujikenai. This is incredibly funny. If you like slice of life stuff, you're going to love this. Basically, we follow Jahi, and she used to be part of this different world, right, in which she was like the number 2 strongest demon, and she worked for, I believe, the Demon King, or the devil. I forgot what it was, what they call him, but the devil, or like the Demon King, I don't know. And she worked for him, and she was revered by all, right, because everyone was scared of her, and she was incredibly strong in this case. But now the Demon King was slain, and she had to basically run for her life, and she ends up in Earth, right, in Japan. And now she lost all of her powers, and she basically now has to work in this this bar, basically, for this woman, for Chisa. And she has to live the life of a normal person, which of course she's not used to. Eventually, she's visited by others. So, for example, this girl right here, who used to be also quite a big deal, I believe, in the demon world. Actually, no, she wasn't a big deal compared to Jahi, but I don't know. You'll have to figure it out for yourself. But she's able to, like, in the human world, she's able to make it big, while Jahi, who used to be such a big deal, right, is not able to make it big. That kind of stuff. It's very funny, and there's also plenty of episodes. I didn't update my list. I watched all of them, but I guess I just didn't update it. There's 20 episodes. Most of them are good. Some are kind of a drag. I think 2 or 3 episodes really didn't hit it for me, but everything else was awesome. And the manga is still releasing. Now, as far as I know, the manga is published in English, but it's kind of lacking behind compared to the Japanese version. Is that a bad thing? No, it's just lagging behind a bit. The manga is worth it, though. The art style is very, very pretty in the manga, in my opinion. Then we go to a real tearjerker, which is Haito Genso no Grimgar. And this one is the most real portrayal of what it would be like to live in a different world, for real. We follow a group of people who are transported into another world, young people, of course, high schoolers, and they now have to band together to survive. But instead of being these overpowered characters, they're not. They just, for example, eventually they have to team up to, I believe, destroy like this goblin nest or something. But these goblins, first and foremost, they don't want to die, right? As you can imagine, they want to live. Not just that, but they're going to fight for their lives. And these people are not strong, right? They can use some magic. They can, some can't use magic at all. So they kind of have to deal with death, for example, and deal with the fact that they have to kill to make a living, which is, it's not gamified in this case. They actually have to murder, and it's horrible for them, and of course for the goblins that are murdered as well. And they also have to deal with death, because one of them, quite early on in the story, dies. And they have to deal with that because it was someone's fault. They didn't do it on purpose, but it was their fault. So this is drama, though. So if you're not into drama anime, this is not going to be for you. But if what I just said appeals to you, this is one of the best isekais most likely you're going to watch. For real, it's very good. It is based on the light novel. There is a manga, but as far as I know, the manga is based on the anime. So even if you read the manga, you basically just watch the anime in this case. The light novel is still going on, as far as I know. Is that true? Yes, it still is. Like I said, I don't read light novels, so for me, I don't know if it's good. But if you are into light novels, then give it a try. All right, then we have Hinamatsuri. Another one that I know most people would not associate with isekai, but I am going to convince you that it actually is. Hinamatsuri is about a guy, a Yakuza guy, so basically a mafia guy, Japanese mafia. This guy, he's called Nita. And at one point, out of the blue, no real reason as to why, this girl shows up in his apartment. She just kind of like spawns there, like boom, there she is, Hina. And Hina is from a different world. At first, in the manga, it is fully explained. Excuse me. It's fully explained where she's from, how this happened, because the manga is completed and the manga is really freaking good. It's probably my favorite manga of all time. So in the manga, it's fully explained why. In the anime, you won't find that out. Does that mean that the story is not good? No, it's great, but you just won't find that out. But she spawns in his room, and she's from a different world. Eventually, multiple people start spawning, like Anzu and Mao, who are also from this world that Hina is from. And they have special powers. They are kind of like espers, if you know what that is. So they can manipulate certain things with their minds, basically. And eventually people also start from the other world. They want to take him back, so Nita has to protect Hina from time to time. This all might sound kind of action heavy and kind of dramatic. It's not, though. Not at all. This is one of the, if not the most funniest manga I have ever read in my entire life. It's also one of the funniest anime I've ever watched. This is really, really good. It's so much fun. Sure, it has dramatic moments, and the drama moments are actually tearjerkers. Again, you would not believe that from a comedy-heavy anime, but they are. But this is so funny, and the story is really good. And I'm almost certain that once you finish the anime, you're going to pick up the manga. I'm almost certain. That's how good this story is. From everything that I just recommended you, from all of the isekai ones that I recommended you, unless this really doesn't sound like anything good to you, I would actually highly recommend Hinamatsuri the most. It's that good. Alright, so then we have Isekai Oji-san. Now, I have watched almost all of the episodes. It says 1, but that's not true. I watched, I believe, 10. Isekai Oji-san. This is very funny, again. But this is like a kind of like a twist on the isekai genre. Basically, we follow a man in his 40s. I don't know. No, in his 30s. Excuse me, in his 30s, and he wakes up after a coma after 17 years. But it turns out that while he was in this coma, this guy actually was in a different world. Now, I won't spoil too much, but I believe his nephew his nephew is now going to take care of him, sort of. They're going to try to make money together. And basically, Yosuke, right, so the guy that was in the coma, he shows his nephew all of the things that he did while he was in this different world. I'm going to leave it at that simply because I feel like you should really watch this for yourself. And by explaining anything more, I feel like I'm spoiling too much. But that's the premise, and it's very funny and very cool. Also, the manga is still releasing, and it is definitely worth it, in my opinion. And then the final one, which is Gabriel Dropout. Again, not another one that most people would not associate with isekai, but that's why I made this list, and that's why I made this video, to actually broaden the term of isekai, because this is in fact an isekai. Because we follow Gabriel, and we follow multiple girls, but I just want to focus on her right now. And she is from a different world. Officially speaking, she's from heaven, but yes and no. I'm not gonna spoil that for you, but she's sort of from heaven, sort of, and which is a different world, of course. And she is eventually put on Earth to to do good things as an angel, right? Because she's from heaven. But the moment that she arrives on Earth, she discovers the beautiful world of MMORPGs, which are basically video games that are live service, right? That are that you play with a lot of people, right? Like World of Warcraft, for example, or Final Fantasy XIV. And she gets addicted, and she becomes a bum. She doesn't do anything except play that game. Now, besides that, she also has this other angel, right? Raphael, who actually is showing off potential in the human world. And Gabriel, actually, they thought that she was going to be the one to take that role, but she's horrible at what she does. Now there are more characters. We have Vignette, and we have Satan herself. Well, again, she's not really Satan, but you'll figure that out yourself. And all of these characters basically become friends and live their lives on Earth. Sometimes they're taken back to their original world, so that is why it's an isekai. But like I said, I'm using this as a broad term, but it's fun to see these isekai characters live in modern day Japan and basically screw around, and it's very fun, very cool. But it is very slice of life. So from all of these anime, I can see how for a lot of people this one might not be that interesting. I really like slice of life stories, but I can imagine that something like Gate, for example, or Drifters might sound more interesting, and that's fine, But I did want to include Gabriel Dropout because it is one of my favorites in this case. So, ladies and gentlemen, I've been going on for almost 20 minutes now, and I sincerely believe that although I could continue, I should leave it at 10. Like I said, my name is Razovy, and I enjoyed making this video a ton, and I hope you enjoyed watching this video a ton. If you did, do me a favor and click on the like button. It helps me out more than you might think. It helps our content creators in general more than you might think. And leave a comment. How about that? Leave a comment. Something positive, something like I enjoyed this video, or leave a comment about a better isekai that you genuinely believe should have been in this list. Something of the sort. Again, it's small things like that that help our creators like me way more than you might think. Okay, anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I was Razovy, and you were you, and I will see you guys later. Goodbye.